Women quite often come for consultations who are experiencing a situation where the husband uses violence within the family, what they call an abuser nowadays, right? Of course, everyone wants everything to be fine in the family, for parents to be an example for their children and for their future fate to turn out wonderfully. And when such a situation arises, you immediately want to understand why, right? And most importantly, how to make sure that such a situation never happens again. And today's video topic is abusers by date of birth. How to recognize such a person and not fall into their clutches. Of course, abuse is a psychological disorder that forms at an early age. But today we're talking about adults. And in adulthood, it's possible to determine that there is such a predisposition. And in some groups of numbers, you could say in a negative scenario, this is present. And we will start with a category of numbers like 9, 18, and 27. Why is it that such a characteristic might be present here? Well, primarily because these people, their task is to manage, their task is to share knowledge. Of course, this can also manifest in the year of birth. Well, for example, the year 1989, for instance, is very strong, as is 1980. Today, we'll talk about specifically the birth number, the personality number, right, as we call it in our systemic numerology. When a person has such a characteristic, their task is precisely to manifest this depth, to understand. This is a head whose task is to think, right, to analyze. These are truly excellent leaders. These are people who are able to break everything down into details, right? But in the negative, it's the psychological destruction of another person. This can manifest in activities there. At work, for example, violence over the team, psychological violence over the team. This, of course, can manifest inside the family. And it manifests itself in many different ways. If, for example, the 9th day birth number, it can just constantly talk about what you're doing wrong there. That is to pressure with its own strength. And it means that everything must be exactly as I say. If it is the 18th, then here it goes up to the use of physical force and such emotional violence that I can do anything I want and you are nobody here. I earn everything, I do everything, and you are nobody at all. And naturally, over time, a woman loses her identity, loses, well, the desire to manifest anywhere at all, and goes deep inside herself, at least to somehow preserve herself. And as for the 27th number, these are truly unique abusers. This is a sophisticated form of psychological abuse, meaning this person carefully plans out every single step and they will justify it all perfectly. They have, this aesthete quality like an antique dealer. I'd say it's a Japanese style, right? Many people admire Japanese culture where everything is refined, everything must be thought out to the smallest detail. This kind of trait is found in those born on the 27th. How aesthetically everything must be measured, everything, even the napkin must be just so and not otherwise. Otherwise, you're a nobody. I'm an aesthete, a 7th generation intellectual, and you're just a nobody here. And as soon as these notes start to appear, think about it. Is it really worth it? Right? Yes, these people possess a certain depth. Yes, you can feel it. Yes, at first it feels good to be with them. And there's a sense of protection because, yes, they have global thoughts, strategic thinking, and it seems like a good thing. So go ahead and write in the comments, do you know of such cases? Yeah. We've just looked at 3, right, characteristics. Right, if this has happened in your life, God forbid, as they say, or to someone you know, just write it down. And how you got out of all that, right? And to recognize this, look at what the person does for a living. Because these are indeed people who teach, people who understand, and their speech should be articulate and mastered, with good turns of phrase. If such people use profanity, if phrases start slipping in that you're a nobody, leave early because it will end anyway. And if there are children, well, you have to resolve this somehow because the example set will be purely negative. But in reality, these are people with a great future. And right away, if you meet such people, see what they talk about. Is it all is lost or like everything is bad, but I'm great? Well, it's better not to get involved with that person. So that's one category that has a predisposition. The next type who might actually resort to violence in the form of, yes, physical assault, are people born on the 4th or in April, right? And it also often happens with the number 22. Why are they telling me 13 and or 31? Well, it's rarer there. Yes, those can be grouped with the 4s, but it's still rarer there, especially when there are several pure 4s in the birth date. For example, the 4th of, say, 1984, for instance, right? Well, as one of the options, it manifests quite often. Then I can also share one such example. I have a niece who, whenever she meets someone, immediately sends me their birth date. What will this one be like? And what about this one? And I always tell her, well, he's like this and that. Watch out for this or that. And she says, how is it? No matter who I ask about, everything matches perfectly. And in a bad way, in a negative sense. I say, maybe you should think about changing something in yourself. Why do you keep running into people who later turn out to be so negative? And there was also a case where a person with such strong 4s. So I say, you see, he already has, let's say, bad energy, plus the fact that he's getting older. He's around 30 years old now. And if a person isn't fulfilled, he'll start taking it out on you. He'll control your every move. No, he's good. Everything's fine. We've already started dating. They're even trying to live together. And at some point it kicked in. And the guy seemed to have a normal job, a chef, right? But at some point it started. He was controlling her phone completely. She says, I wake up and he's going through my phone. And who wrote this? What did they do? Why is it like this? You have no right. You should only do things with my permission. So the person already felt in control since they were together and started showing his negative traits. And at some point, and the girl was like, how can this be? This is personal space. My phone is my personal space. For example, my wife and I, we always know each other's passcodes, but we never take each other's phones, let alone read any messages. It's personal space. My phone, it has my notes or whatever else. I mean, for everyone, right? It's personal space, and no one else has the right to touch it, right? It's personal territory. And the girl says the same thing. No. And when it happened the next time, she says, he promised everything. I won't touch it anymore. But again, it played its part. And what happened? Yes, he started hitting her. Well, since one should listen to advice, yes, she broke off the relationship immediately, but the fact remains, right? Then the person, yes, had several strong 4s, and in the negative, that's physical abuse. And if we're talking about the 22nd, those people are also significant. 22 is not 4. 22 is a completely different characteristic. It's large scale. If the number 4 symbolizes the body and physical abuse happens quite often there, then 22 is a different characteristic. It's a large scale personality. And if a person lacks this scale, they often start taking it out on another person, primarily those who are close by. They consider them to be their own property. So if such moments already exist, try as early as possible, to end these relationships or somehow come to an agreement. Well, and there's another characteristic that often manifests. It's people who have many 6s. On one hand, these are indeed people who are predisposed to, communication. They have very strong hands. Among them are many massage therapists, even healers, managers. Since 6 is the strongest number of the material world, they're quite often financiers. But their task is definitely to develop. And if people with a large number of 6s, especially regarding, for example, June, or even more so the 24th of the month, and also in the year when 6s appear, like 66 or 86, when 6s manifest to the maximum, and people don't have this realization, they don't find, if they don't reach the level that they truly deserve, then it turns out that they start to demonstrate this power of theirs, showing and revealing it to those around them. And very often there are energy, plus also energy vampires. Why? Because the 6 initially, all its power is gathered at the bottom and it should gradually rise up, that is into the head, and transition into what is called life wisdom. And when that's missing, this power goes down right into the pelvis, yes, into sexual violence, into violence that's not just mental but energetic, when you need to completely suppress a person and pull all the energy out of them. Therefore, they often reach the point where they become demonic entities. This is indeed the case. I have seen many such people. Accordingly, when you see a person with a large number of sixes, look, at their behavior pattern. Yes, by the way, write down if you've had such situations. Like with fours, 22 characteristics, with sixes, and people with strong sixes. What's important for them? Exactly to rise up. Creative, 1 second, they manage very well. The creativity is inherent in them. And if they just, go to work, showing up every day and working steadily from clock in to clock out, then eventually the time will come when they will break down. They'll run out of energy and start feeding off the energy of other people around them just to get through the day. Clearly, people with various traits can have problems, but those we've just studied are, well, the most predisposed. The most important thing to avoid getting hooked is don't be charmed by a person. There's a saying, to avoid disappointment, it's important not to be charmed. It's important that it's all, well, mutual, the liking, the respect, and personal space. So when you meet someone, observe them for a while. Don't just dive right in, okay? But if you want to figure it out and rule out any chance of getting hooked by an abuser or facing violence or anything else, then yes, you can study birth dates, how to work with them, and how to read them. If you like this video, then please give it a like. Share it on social media, of course, because this is a problem that many people might face. And I'll say goodbye for now until next time.